Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Hoshi Malabongweng and I'm very grateful that you are tuned in. If it's your first time here, please click the subscribe button, ring the bell for all the latest videos. Click the like button if you like the video and also leave a comment. And if you're a returning member, thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyway, guys, this is an interview that I recently conducted on Energy FM. Hope you enjoy it.
According to Country Life Art magazine, which is in South Africa, art in South Africa has come a long way since the first cave paintings nearly 4,000 years ago. Before photographs and videos, art was the only way humans could visually record the world they live in, which is why art is such a valuable piece of history. Sadly, women artists over the centuries were overlooked, and so most of the ancient art we see in galleries and museums today is mostly gender biased. However, we do know and understand that in 2020, when one speaks of art, it's a lot more bigger of a picture than just talking about paintings and so forth. We're talking about musicians, we're talking about poets and many other arts and creatives that we have in our realm. I'm joined now on the line by Malebo, who is a poetess, and we're going to be talking to her and just finding out how she's been as we continue to celebrate women who are in the arts industry in this Women's Month. Malebo, good evening and welcome.
Hello.
Happy Women's Month. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much. To you as well.
Thank you. I have the most apt of memories of the first time I ever saw you on stage, and that was at the literary fair that we had just last year here in Polokwane, in the city, at the Library Gardens. And I'm calling it an apt memory because it's quite difficult for one to really forget the pieces that you rendered that day. But where did it all start for you?
The inspiration comes from the hip-hop culture, whereby you find people rapping, and I found it very interesting. But as time went by, I realized that I'm not really a rapper.
Okay.
It's easier for me with poetry.
And how do you tell them apart, really? Because you know how some rappers call themselves lyricists. And those people are quite poetic if you think about it. Those are the people whose writing makes you really just freeze and want to be in the moment and really say, did this person really write that? Did they really say that? And that's really the beauty of words. And I could easily argue to say that you are a lyricist yourself because you write quite beautifully. But how do you tell the two apart?
As I started to learn about rap and poetry and such things, I was taught that poetry is the father of rap.
Okay.
So basically, it's all poetic. I think it all counts as how it's delivered, but it's all poetry.
Let's take it back to the very first piece you wrote. Perhaps as soon as you could tell the distinction between being a rapper, being a lyricist, to being a poetess or a poet. The very first piece you wrote, do you still remember it?
Not really, but I do remember that at that point in time, I lacked originality a lot.
Okay, all right.
So I would listen to a lot of other poets and try to mimic, for lack of a better word, of what they were doing, until as I grow, I learned my own style and my own way of delivering poetry.
How did you do that exactly? And I'm asking you because people who critique art that is produced in present day, people who critique music that's produced in present day, say things like, you know, the music of present day, you can't really distinguish one song from the other, right? Because people seem to think that everything sort of sounds the same. I don't know if it was different back in the day. It's a discussion on its own, but how did you do that exactly? How did you manage to find your voice as a poet in the understanding that obviously there's inspiration, as you say, and that could lead to one really lacking originality?
Well, how I did it was, firstly, like I said, I've been listening to other poets, and I realized that everyone has a certain story that they tell. Some people do poetry about love or social issues and all of that. So I realized that I actually hardly ever write about personal experiences, but I write more about the things that I see and how I perceive them, because we all see things differently. So I started to learn that, okay, maybe I witnessed you doing something and it stuck to my mind. I would go back home and try to see how I feel about that certain something, or how I viewed it and how I would explain it to people.
Yeah. Often it would seem that the kind of perception that people have about poetry, Malewo, is that you have to be very emotive, right? In the delivery, you have to speak with emotion, and there should be a lot of emotion really invested into poetry. But the truth of the matter is that poetry is a lot more diverse than that. How would you describe your poetry? And also, would you say that because of those perceptions that exist about poetry, you've somewhat struggled to sometimes sort of break into certain markets of people who really love and appreciate poetry because of the perceptions they have about what a poet should be like, what they should deliver like, what they should write about, and so forth?
Yes, I definitely have come across some certain struggles with poetry, because I do the kind of poetry called slam. And the reason why I chose that is because of it doesn't have as many rules as other forms of poetry. So if you want to be mainstream or you want to write a book and stuff like that, there are certain rules that you need to follow. So,
what do you think about that? There being rules to follow. And I'm asking you this because art is not very procedural, if you think about it. Artists are people who don't conform to a lot of norms. And yet now you're saying, for instance, if you want to write a book, you have to conform to certain standards because that's how things are done, perhaps in publishing, for instance. What do you think about that?
Well, it kind of limits the artist, because the artists are just creative as they are. You can't tell an artist what to do. That's the problem. So it limits certain people to a certain extent, and somehow they have to put themselves in a position that would allow them to be in certain spaces. So yeah, it's a difficulty that you face as a poet or as any form of artist, that you're being told that you need to do certain things a certain way in order for us to put you on such platforms.
What have you been working on? Do you have aspirations of publishing a book yourself? What's been happening so far?
I actually created a YouTube channel where I decided that I want to shoot videos for my work and then post them there, and hopefully it will get me somewhere.
Have you started posting?
Yes, I have. I've posted a few and the reception has been great.
Oh, but of course. Look, it would be a huge injustice for me to release you before I ask you to give us a taste of the work that you do. Because I know it, right? I know it, but I really want everyone to know and understand that which I experienced that evening at the Library Gardens during the literary fair. Just on top of your head, your favorite piece of yourself, please, just a tease, really.
Okay, so, well, I actually prepared myself for this, and since it's Women's Month, I decided to do a piece that is dedicated to women.
Okay.
It's called A Well-Organized Man. For years, we've been told a woman comes from a man's rib, but evidently nature says otherwise. For years, nature has proven a man and a woman come from a woman's womb, but people still choose to turn a blind eye. To turn a blind eye and not believe what they see, but for years we've witnessed soon-to-be mothers carry lives in their bellies for 9 months. If women came from a man's rib, there should be one less rib in every man today. But for years, there's one broken rib suffered from the hands of a man. But I'm not here to talk about that. I am here to talk about a woman, a well-organized man, God manifestation of a human being a girl. Watinta bafazi. Watinta umuntu. Do not call me a rock. I am flesh. If you cut me, I bleed. The Holy Trinity is not complete without me. Do not forget, you came from the belly of the beast. So do not feed me your fist. Who will nourish your seed without me? I am a woman, a well-organized man. Do not forget who I am. If I was not important, there would be no Mother Nature. I am the very reason for your existence. I am a woman, a well-organized man. And like Mama Winnie, I have a nation to take care of and a revolution to televise because I am a woman, a well-organized man.
Snap, 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 snap. I can't. This is beautiful. You write so beautifully, and one really is just left in awe, honestly. You write so beautifully. And I would like to just take this moment and wish you all the best with your future endeavors. Don't stop ever.
Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Quickly give us your details, social media, and as well as with the YouTube page.
Yeah, so on Instagram, people can find me. It is Hoshi Malebo. And the YouTube channel is also Hoshi Malebo. And my Facebook page is Lieto La Hoshi.
Thank you so much, Hoshi Malebo, and all the best, like I said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.